here, cowboy, ain't no dumb hayseed. I may talk a little funny, at least I say what I mean. I'm at home in the country, I'm at home in LA, and I'm tired of feeling misunderstood this way.
Hello and welcome to that 90s Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, James Tunstall, and today's special guest, he is a former three-time WWE Tag Team Champion, and he is now the current NWA National Champion, Trevor Murdoch. How you doing, Trevor?
How's it going, guys?
It's all great. Great to have you on the show. I remember when I've only ever been to one WWE live event. It was in Nottingham in 2006. And one of the matches on that night, it was yourself and Lance Cade against Crime Time, JTG and Shad. And so you're the one guy I actually seen live at a WWE event.
Right on, man. I hope you had a good time. We always used to love coming overseas, man. The crowds were always electric, and house shows, you can do so more and get so much more involved with the crowd. I always really enjoyed those house shows.
I've always heard a lot of the wrestlers always had like fun trips over in the UK.
Well, you're around everybody 24/7 virtually, so you've got to have a little stress reliever, and not to mention, we're also going overseas to another country. We want to enjoy I guess what everything has to offer while we're there.
Cool. So I suppose we'll go back to the beginning then. Your early years, was you a fan of wrestling growing up as a child?
I was a huge fan, actually. My brother used to wake me up when I was a young kid, and we would watch world-class wrestling on Sundays. So, I'm eating my bowl of Cheerios and in my underwear, yelling and screaming at guys like, Gentleman Chris Adams, and getting fired up for the Von Erichs, and that's kind of where my love of pro wrestling really started.
Cool. And what made you want to become a wrestler as you was growing up? Was it just what you saw on TV, or was it basically like something else, like, yeah, I really want to do this?
I really wanted to do it, but when I got into the business, there wasn't a plethora, wasn't a ton of wrestling schools out there. So it was one of those things where you sit back and like, man, this is a dream. I'd really like to do something, but you don't know. I actually when I graduated high school, I went to Job Corps and became a certified welder and started building railroad cars. And my older brother, Mark, met up with a friend of his at work, at a factory job at work, that was an independent wrestler. And he started training my brother. So when I got home from Job Corps, I was gone for almost a year. I would go to the shows, and I've been blessed with being 6'4", an average of 230 pounds since I was, 16, 17 years old.
Wow.
So I'm coming in doing security for my brother, and just for the show itself, at 18 years old, standing outside the ring, watching this happen. And before and after the shows, the guys used to like to pick me up and treat me like they're tackling dummy. I'm a big guy, so if they can do it on me, they could do it on whoever they were wrestling next week. And I'm a young guy loving it, and they're just beating the shit out of me. And one day one evening I come to a show, and it's the classic scenario where a wrestler didn't show up, and the promoter's freaking out. He needs somebody to fill this spot, and he looks at me and he goes, You've been training. You got a match tonight. Wow. And I got put under a hood, and I ended up wrestling my brother, which was a little bit of a salvation. He kind of led me through that. But that from then on, I was never security. I wrestled every day after that, every chance I got after that. And I did that for about, say 2 years before I met Harley. And then Harley proceeded to tell me I didn't know shit.
And I was about to say, you made your way over to Harley School. What was it like training under the great man himself?
Man, I tell you, in the beginning, you hear about all the things he's done. You hear stories from other wrestlers, but you just look at his accolades and you're like, man, how am I going to stack up to this guy? He's obviously going to have a very high standard of what he wants, and I'm just a fat kid trying to be a wrestler, you know. In the beginning, he was tough. You know what I'm saying? I puked every single day in camp.
Wow.
And that was because me and another buddy of mine, Matt Murphy, were the first two students at his school. So we were the guys that Harley was going to use as a standard, whether don't do this or do it like this and you'll be successful. So he was hard on us. And we were his guinea pigs to a certain extent because he was learning how to train guys from the bottom up that he wasn't actually getting in the ring with. You know what I mean? So for 3 months, I'm running outside, you know, puking my guts up, get done, go back inside, and I'd catch up with calisthenics. And I think that's one of the things that got Harley's attention with me. You know, he knew that right now, at this moment, this young man may not be in shape, but he's got the heart and the will and the want to. So I'm going to give him a chance. And the harder I worked, the more he worked with me. And it got to be a point where he, you know, he would put me in high pressure situations in a small company. As an indie company, we started 2 years. WLW started 2 years before Ring of Honor. So we were doing 78 independent shots on an average a year for the first 5 to 6 years, but that's a lot of wrestling for an independent. And then when we weren't wrestling for Harley, we were getting bookings at other companies. So we were wrestling a lot. So we were improving. Harley would bring names in to wrestle with us. So we would work with those guys who'd been on TV. I won my first world heavyweight title, WLW Harley's WLW heavyweight title from WCW's Ming at 21 years old. And you talk about a scary dude. I mean,
I was about to mention that.
Make you question what if you're making the right decision or not stepping in the ring with that guy. But just opportunities like that with Harley, you know, you can't help but get good. You know what I mean? Help get better.
Yeah, I was reading up you won your first championship against Meng, and like you just said, there's legendary stories he's had. But everyone says though, when you're on the right side of him, he's the nicest man alive. But if you're on that wrong side, you might as well, you know, you're basically on the one way road to hell.
Story, man. I'll tell you a story. He's always been gentle as a giant with me. Thank God, he's always been gentle as a giant. But Harley did bring Ming in to wrestle on other shows, and he was wrestling other guys. And I remember one evening, you know, anytime Ming would come out to wrestle, he'd be in the main event, and it would be the guys in the locker room would be out watching. You know, we'd come out of the locker room just to watch Ming's wrestling. We go watch, you know.
Yeah.
Well, this wrestler that Ming was wrestling was, I'm going to break kayfabe a little bit, was in the ring trying to tell Ming what to do.
Wow.
And Ming, I guess this had been going on for several minutes, and finally Ming had enough of it, and you hear Ming, you know, scream, "Shut the fuck up!" and just slap that old boy right in the face. I mean, hard. You watch old boy's knees kind of buckle a little bit, and everybody in the locker room gets up. Oh shit, that ain't good. And get in the back, and Ming is throwing chairs around, and you know, it was one of those things where, you know, you just don't do. This guy is a veteran in the business. He knows what he's doing. He's as strong as a bull. There's no one in the building that's going to be able to do anything to him that he doesn't allow you to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's so when you get in the ring with him, you know, he's a gentle giant, but just don't poke the bear. You know what I mean? Shut up and let him do what he does.
Yep. And you mentioned when you wasn't with Harley, you was doing some other promotions, and you also done the tag team, the Duck Spot. You made your way around the circuit, like you was in ECW for a short stint, and you made your way to TNA, like during its very early years, and well, from the beginning, basically. What was it like working the few ECW shows and then making your way towards TNA?
Well, the TNA stuff came about through the Harris brothers. Again, that goes back to what I was saying with Harley, bringing in names and guys to work with. The Harris brothers came in. Harley was bringing them in for a stint, and Don actually came down and spent a week at Harley's camp with us, stayed with Harley. So you're in the ring with Don Harris, for 5 days, and I got a really close connection with Don. Him and I got along really great. And when Jeff Jarrett was putting together TNA, Don and Ron both were a part of that. So they were looking for talent. And thankfully, Don spoke up to Jeff and said, "Hey, Jeff, there's some guys down at WLW. There's this guy named Trevor Rhodes," because I was wrestling as Trevor Rhodes, the son of Dusty, the bastard son of Dusty. And he said, "You need to take a look at him." Well, Harley was smart enough to know that, and Jeff was doing independence, kind of promoting him coming back into the limelight, really, because he took some time off with his wife at the time. And he was kind of getting his name back out there, letting everybody know that, TNA's coming. So Harley books him for a show. And we're all thinking, this is great. He's going to get a chance to look at all of us. Well, Harley books me in the match with Jeff. Cool. So we were doing TV at the time, and Harley books me in the first show of the night and books me in the main event at the end of the night. Wow. Because we were doing TV tapings. So I not only had to wrestle Jeff Jarrett in the main, but I also had to open up the show. Which for a young guy, looking back, I'm like, man, I got to kill it. This is an opportunity. But and Harley was just kind of saying, here's my guy. Take a look at him, Jeff. Tell me what you think. And you can't get any better of a test than wrestling the boss. Yeah. And sure enough, I got a call 3 weeks later, and Don had informed me that we're going to bring the Dups to TNA and going to start running a program, doing something. Didn't know where it was going to go, what it was going to happen, but it was, there was going to be a lot of eyes on this, and there were, you know what I mean. TNA was kind of coming out trying to at one time, take on, WWE.
Yeah. Cool. And not long after that, you made your way towards OVW, and that's when you met up with Lance Cade. So did you hit it off straight away, like friends straight away, or was there that part where you just had to like ease in, sort of like grow that relationship?
Well, it really came. I know it says on the media there that I went to OVW, but I actually never went to developmental. I never. Oh, right. It's one of those. It's one of those stories that people put out there and everybody took it. I actually went from I was wrestling the independents one night to the next night. I've got a job with the WWE. I'll tell you how that happened. When I got back from Japan, I went to NOAH for 6 months in Japan, and I was in their dojo doing 500 squats a day, 300 push-ups a day, 150 bumps a day. Not to mention doing all that on tours. So when I got back from that, I'd kind of made my mind that if I'm going to get anywhere in this business, it's going to be in Japan. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't have to have a six-pack in Japan and still get over as long as I work hard. You know what I mean? So I get back, and Harley had gotten me a WWE tryout, and I wouldn't call it a tryout. They were coming to town, and they needed locals, and they always called Harley when they were in town. And I had been up there maybe 7, 8 different times. Nobody really ever paid any attention to me. So I got there. I was just thinking I was going to collect $250, which that's what they paid you every day, eat some catering, and be a fan. You know what I mean? And just enjoy the day. You know what I mean? Don't be nervous. Don't look any further into what this is. Just enjoy the day for what it was. And I see Chris Benoit was outside the ring, and he's doing his 500 squats for his warm-up that he would do before every show. Wow. And Chris had a big influence in Japan. He was a big fan. Everybody's a big fan of him. A lot of the companies know who he is. So I was unintentionally trying to get the rub for him to I wanted to talk to him, so maybe he would, if anything, find out who I was and maybe just like me. I was looking more for Japan more than I was WWE. So I go out to the ring in my gear, and I'm doing some of my stretches. I'm I'm not jacked, but I'm lean, and I'm doing butterfly stretches where my legs are going all the way to the mat, and it eventually catches his attention. And he asked me, he goes, have you been to Japan? And that was just kind of an opportunity for me to kind of lay out my resume. Yes, sir. I just come back from the dojo. I was doing this for, Kobashi, Misawa, Akiyama. I'm trained by Harley. And we had a good 30, 35-minute conversation just about Japan and Harley. And he goes, do you have a match here tonight? And I said, nope. And he said, wait, right here. And about 10 minutes later, he came back. He goes, all right, man, hey, kid, you got a match. They're going to be watching tonight. And finally, I went from not giving a shit, you know what I mean? Just like,
Yeah.
they're not going to call me. I'm okay with that now. I've dealt with that in my heart. So now I've got the attention of everybody that I wanted. You know what I mean? People that can make real big decisions for me in my career. So I went out. They had me wrestle Rob Conway on Heat, and I knew what my job was, and that was just to make Rob look like $1 million.
Yeah.
And that's what that was the best. That was the best I did the best I could, and it went really well. Rob Conway put me over to Johnny Ace, so they invited me back the next night to wrestle Rene Dupree on SmackDown, but it was a dark match, and they said, let's go out there and let's see what the kid can do. And Rene and I went out and had a great match, and I'm happy as hell because I'm not thinking a job. I'm gonna get a job. I'm thinking I just made $500. That's 2 days of wrestling, bitches. I made $500. Yeah, catering 2 days. And I'm just an independent guy at that time. Just trying to struggling to make rent. Paying to wrestle basically. So I go into the locker room. I'm happy. I'm getting changed, and Johnny Ace comes in there, and he goes, hey, I want to talk to you. Like, oh shit, that's never happened before, and I'm just a young independent guy, so I automatically go to the negative. I'm like, man, what I do wrong? Oh, I messed it up. Oh man, all right. So, all right, I'm never coming. All right, let's go figure this out. So I go in the office, and Johnny Ace sits me down, and he asked me where I'm working at, and I tell him I'm a bartender at the bar I end up owning like 5 years later.
Yeah.
And he goes, do you want a job here? And I couldn't even get the words out, man. I was just like, yep. And he goes, I'll send you a contract out, have your lawyer look at it, and sign it and send it back. And, I could barely pay rent. I can't afford a lawyer, but of course I'm like, oh yeah, I have to look at it. Yeah. That contract, I'm gonna let y'all know, it came out of the box, and I got to the sign me stickers. They put little sign me stickers on these pages, just so you know not to miss where specifically to sign. Everybody that's ever signed that contract knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. I pulled it out. I went to the sign me tabs. My name. I pushed that back in the box, resealed it, and sent it off because I wanted to make sure that if they made a mistake offering me this deal, I was going to at least try to get 90 days, 90-day pay, early out clause payout, just hustling as a young guy. But that wasn't the case, obviously. And I got the call to come up and tag with this guy named Lance Cade for a weekend. I had seen Lance before when he had tagged with Mark Jindrak. And at the time, I'm trying to go for this dusty look. So I've got, the blonde hair. Of course, I'm a pudgy, thick kind of guy. You know what I mean? And hold on a minute, my young son. Cade, go in there with mommy, okay? Daddy's in an interview. Love you, buddy. Shut the door. Sorry, guys. You're doing home interviews. 4-year-old.
I've got three sons, 6, 4, and 3, so I know what you mean.
Right on, man. So they call me up, and I'm Lance's blonde hair, jacked, gorilla. Well, I'm him, but I'm the pudgy version. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my God, how am I gonna compare with this guy? You know what I mean? WWE wants bodies, and I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4", but I've never had an ab. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just never been me. Say what you want about it, I don't care. It's never been me. So they bring me in and they say, you know, Trevor, we're going to have you tag with Lance for this weekend. The next weekend, Lance is going to tag with Kevin Thorne. He did the Vampire,
Yeah.
if you remember.
I remember him.
And they said, we're going to see what you two look like this weekend, and then we're going to see what Lance and Kevin look like, and whoever's the best tag team is going to start. So Lance and I go out, we meet each other, and we have a great tag match, and we go to do the second night. We have another great tag match, and as we're coming to the back, Johnny stops us and goes, Lance, I gotta know right now. You've worked with Kevin down in OVW. You worked with Trevor these last two nights. Who do you think you'd have better chemistry with to start teaming with? And I got to give Lance all the credit in the world right there. He goes, I think I'd have better chemistry with Trevor, really. And Johnny goes, all right, you guys are on the road next week.
Oh,
And
that's great.
that. And we got in the car, and he was just as amazed on how quickly that happened too, because he wasn't expecting to go on the road either. He was told the same information. You're going to tag with one guy this weekend. You're going to tag with another guy next weekend, and then we're going to make a decision. So we get in the car. We're at the same hotel, and we're just honest with each other right then and there. Listen, man, we're both, you know, let's be honest and upfront with each other. There's a lot of people in this business that stab each other in the back. You know, there's going to be things that we're not going to like, but we need to be honest with each other if we're going to make money together. And as long as you're being honest with me and I'm being honest with you, you know, at the very least, we have a comfortableness, a safety net with someone you can trust, man. And we were very upfront with each other. And we always used to have this thing. We made a pact right then and there. If we had a bitch or a complaint, or if we were angry about something, we always left it for the car. Like, it didn't matter if you were at TV and you were mad about something that they, you know, that they did to us. We were smiles. We were, yes sir, no sir. We were businessmen. But as soon as the day was over and we got in the car, my door would slam, his door would slam, and him and I would look at each other and go, "What the fuck?" You know, and that's how we ran our business, man. You know, we knew that we could make money with each other. We knew we were going to make money with each other. But we also had enough common sense to know that WWE doesn't keep tag teams, even the most successful ones, together for long. You know what I mean? And we always had that in the back of our minds, and we were always honest with each other in that. And we both tried to elevate each other at times, so we knew when it was time to go that way, that we were both at a level that we could be successful. You know what I mean? It was just, we were very honest with each other about the business aspect of it. History hasn't changed when it comes to the WWE. That's just, when it comes to tag teams, you know, New Day is probably the longest reigning tag team in years. You know what I mean? It's just, it's just, that's how they do it. So, and we were honest with each other about it, which made us, you know, successful, because when we got in the ring, we were able to talk to each other. We had the same thought process when it came to how we wanted our matches to go, how we wanted to come across. We were honest with each other in the fact of, I knew I'm standing next to a 6'4", 290-pound Greek god. I mean, the guy's got 3%. Yeah, dude, he was jacked, man. Let's just be realistic about it. And I was too. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be able to make, I'm not going to be able to build myself up. He's, you know, good for him. That's him. So in my opinion, if I can't compete with it, let's just be my own guy. So I went complete opposite. We could still be the same, be cut from the same cloth, but I'm going to be the meanest, ugliest, just downright, just, you know, ground and pound, gritty, just mean. I'm going to go complete ugly. That's he was pretty. I'm ugly. That's sweet. I'm sour. You know, it works. And you got a really badass tag team, but you got two different guys. And that was like one of my complaints about us when they always wanted to split us up was, why do we have to split up? Like, you know, the same but different when you separate us to a certain extent, and you can just have us go our different ways. So if one day, never say never, you can bring it back and it can mean something, you know what I mean? But they just were hell bent on, one's got to be a baby face, one's got to be a heel, and we got to fucking split your ass up, and you guys got to have a fucking fight. That's just how it's got to be, goddammit. Oh, goddamn.
Yeah, it's. I was speaking to Orlando Colon and Epico. He was tag team, him and Primo, and
Yeah.
it's well known. It's well known. Vince McMahon, he does not like tag teams, and when I was talking to Epico, he said to me, he said Triple H came up to him and said, "I'll tell you straight away, Vince doesn't like tag teams, so don't be surprised if eventually he's not going to use you or try and split you up." And that's what it is with Vince. But I really enjoyed you as a tag team, and not long after you was originally put together, he's won the tag belts straight away from Rosie and the Hurricane. So what was it like pretty much being instantly put at the top of the tag division?
Exciting nonetheless, because you're talking about a little kid who's finally like, I've worked so hard to finally get there. And then when I get there, I'm like, man, I just hope one day I can get an opportunity. And 6 weeks later, I'm holding gold. It was, I went home, I brought the belt home. I showed Harley the belt. I wanted to just show him, like, man, thank you. This is all you pushing me, you having fun with me, you and I becoming close, all of, you teaching me, being hard on me, all of that is came down to this moment. And I wanted to just kind of show it to him and tell him thank you. I wanted to show the other students in the school, because that's where it all is. I want to show those guys, like, listen, this is an attainable goal for you. Keep working hard. If this is where I started, just like you guys did. But in the same sense, there was a lot of pressure and there was a lot of heat too. For me specifically, I never went through developmental. So I'm wrestling guys that had been in developmental 2, 3, 4, 5 years, just to get their opportunity on TV. And then they see this guy who doesn't have an ab come from, an independent, hopping straight on TV, and we're going after the tag team champs, and we win the belts. A lot of guys, there was a lot of heat with that. There was a couple guys that I used to wrestle. I won't name any names, but very collegiate individuals, and they would run me. When they wrestled me in Lance, they would run me and run me and run me and run me, and I wouldn't blow up. And but what they didn't understand was I'd just come back from Japan doing 500 squats a day, 300 push-ups a day, wrestling, 100, 150 bumps a day. Fat boy was in shape. You know what I mean? And it took, a couple, 3 months. And finally, one of those guys came up to me and said, hey, Trevor, sorry, thanks for not being, not fighting us on it. We understand now. And, they found out my background. They found out that I could hang and that I was in there for the best match. It wasn't about just, I've never always been just about me. I'm always about, if the match gets over, we all get over. Crowd gets happy. They're happy. Everybody's happy. It's how the business is supposed to be. And once those guys figured out that I wasn't in there to just take advantage of anybody or take a spot, that I was in there, I've earned my spot and that I was willing to continue to work for it. Everybody was cool after that, and we were off and running, making money.
Cool. And they held the titles for a few months before you dropped them to Kane and the big shows. A lot of people's always said that Kane is actually one of the nicest guys in the locker room, and is that true? And at the same time, what was it like working against two giants?
Extremely. Well, at first it's nervous for a young guy, because I still hadn't had a lot of experience with those guys. I hadn't spent any really real time on the road with them. So now I'm going against Big Show, and I'm going against Kane, like two of the biggest guys in the company. I'd always heard that, both of them were super nice guys, but I'd also heard that Big Show, when you got on the wrong side of him, he'd make you pay for it. And I'm going into a hardcore match with these
Yeah.
You know what? I have to hit them with weapons. And it turned out to be, the best match possible. Those guys, let me beat the snot out of them. If I remember correctly, I got to take a kendo stick to Kane several
That's right,
times.
yeah.
I believe I took a trash can to Big Show several times when he's charging at me, if I remember right. So, it was scary, but you also got to realize that, you're at the number one company in the world. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're scared, but you're always kind of being tested. You know what I mean? And if I'm going in there and I'm scared and pussyfooting with these monsters, how is Vince ever going to see me as anything but a pussy? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I don't mean to use
Exactly.
the language, but no, like, okay, these guys are going to beat the shit out of me. I know that's what's going to happen, but I'd rather go and get my ass kicked and put on a great match and walk out with my head high than to let my fears control me and not give the moment what it deserves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And after this, you mentioned before, like sometimes they've done it a couple of times. They decide to split you and Cade up, and you made your way towards the Royal Rumble, which it's my favorite match of all time, the Royal Rumble. What's it like when you're waiting in the locker room, like waiting for your number to come out, and then actually remembering your spot, right? Who gets eliminated next, sort of thing? What's it like actually being in the Royal Rumble match?
You're giddy little schoolgirl. You know what I mean? Like it's we've all every guy you see walk through that curtain at whatever number has at one time or another sat at home and watched that match and wished
Yeah,
at one point or another, oh, I could totally see me coming out with this music. And so for it to actually be happening, your insides you're jumping 90 miles an hour. You hear them call your name, the buzzer comes out and your number and your name, and you're walking through the curtain. And I mean, I'm a bad guy, so thankfully everybody was on board, and the boo, comes through. And I'm walking to the ring and I'm like, holy shit, like here it is, baby. Like, this is what you worked for. These are the moments like that you as a young guy when you're training and you're working the shows that don't draw very well because the promoter didn't do his job, or you got to get in the ring with a guy who's probably not as trained as he said he might have been, and you still got to pull out a good match. Those tough nights, you get to see that and you're like, that's what I want. That's my goal. That's where I want to get to. So it
yeah,
was just a dream come true. You know what I mean? I'm just mad, I didn't win that shit. You know what I mean? Because, I thought I had it, but I was, yeah. No, it's a
yeah,
dream come true, man.
yeah. I think Rey Mysterio won it that year, and obviously the story was dedicated a match to Eddie, which I don't know if you spent much time with Eddie before his passing, but you was in the company, even though he was over in SmackDown, you was on Raw. How was it for like the locker room and everyone when Eddie Guerrero passed away? Because he was so loved by everyone.
You could literally feel how heavy the air was in the back.
Yeah,
Um, and for me being like, I've been a fan, but I'd met Eddie a couple times because we do a couple cross shows before that happened, but I
yeah,
never really got to do the, sit down and just be a fan and ask questions or get advice. But you could feel just the sadness in the locker room. Vince had a big meeting before the show with everybody, and everybody's just brokenhearted. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And I was a young guy there, and I was still pretty new to the company. Maybe 3 months, 4 months in. Maybe I could be
That's right.
off. Um, so I just did my best to just be as respectful as possible and let people grieve the way they needed to grieve, man. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
when you lose somebody like that has affected so many people's lives and has not only in the back, but the wrestlers and their friends and family, but the way he's touched people, the fans. Um,
yeah,
like that was hard for everybody. You know, you see those memes, you know, girls don't know, or, you know, boys don't know what it's like to get their heart broke. Boys, picture of
Yeah,
Eddie Guerrero. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And it was the pain everybody was feeling and seeing on the TV and with the fans was the exact same pain, if not more amplified in the back.
yeah. And I mean, he's still getting his name chanted in the arenas today,
Mhm.
so it tells you how much he was loved. But
Legend.
W, yeah, and WWE, use the common sense again. They put you and Cade back together, and you worked a little bit of a program where the two of you started teaming with Edge against DX, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels. So obviously Shawn Michaels trained Cade, but what was it like stepping in the ring with not only Edge but also DX, who were two of the biggest all-time legends of all time? It must have, like you said, with the Royal Rumble, you was giddy like a schoolgirl. Must have been the same sort of thing, like. And obviously, Triple
Oh,
H has patterned himself after Harley Race.
of course. No, I think that was kind of, whether it be Triple H and Shawn's kind of giving us a helping hand. I mean, we had been in a tag team main event situations before, but we had never been to the main event
Yeah,
until that moment. You know what I mean? There's
yeah,
when you when you're in the back and you see guys like Edge or Shawn or Hunter walk out and you see the reactions of the crowds, it's amazing. But
yeah,
to actually stand in the ring or walk down the aisle with a guy like Edge, or stand in the ring and you hear DX music hit and the crowd go from one, like level 4 or 5 of hating us, to a level 10 of love for these
yeah,
guys. I mean, it's deafening. And Lance and I, at times, we'd be just, it almost make you start shaking. Uh, I remember kind of funny, but yeah, it's kind of funny. We're on TV doing the 6 man, me, Lance, Edge against Shawn, Hunter, and I forgot who the third guy was.
might have
Uh,
been Flair.
but
No, was it Flair?
might have been Flair. No, I think you're
Might
right. I think it might have
might
been
have been
Flair.
Flair. Yeah, another legend.
But yeah, I know you. I think you're right. It might have been Flair. But we're the main event of the show.
Yeah,
You could just feel the electricity in the air with the DX and Rick and Edge and us. And Lance is in the ring working with Shawn. Edge and I are on the corner just watching, you know. And I hear this little, like, bang, like, just Edge just pops me right in the shoulder. He goes, "Breathe, idiot." And I didn't realize I was getting so pumped up. I was, yeah, yeah. You know, because I'm for a split second
yeah,
there, I'm a little kid that's thrown back into my seat eating a bowl of Cheerios going, holy shit, like this is happening. And I look, you know, obviously I take a deep breath and we go in there and we kill it and we have a great match. And we get in the back and everything's great. And it makes you feel fulfilled. Like all the
yeah,
hard work, it makes all the sacrifice, the times of not being at home with your family when you're on the road. Um, it's moments like that that make you go, okay, this is worth it. I'm
yeah,
making that climb. You know what I mean? And that those matches are what really kind of propelled me into the stratosphere of people knowing who I was and what I was doing.
yeah. And your next feud, and this is, in my opinion, this feud is one of the most underrated feuds in WWE history. You and Cade against the Hardy Boys. I loved it. You wrestled like 3 straight pay-per-views, and
Yeah,
it was such a good storyline because it was the angle of you and Cade starting to respect your opponent and start playing by the rules before, you know, your true side came out. um, Matt and Jeff, two also legends. What was like working with them and being told, right, we're putting you in an angle with one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Must have been great again, being able to work with them too.
it was with those guys, it was magic, dude. Like
Yeah,
it was you get in the ring with somebody and you rest. You know, I've wrestled a lot of guys over my careers and I've had some great matches, But then
Yeah.
there's guys that I've wrestled and have some great matches, and I've looked at them and I've said, man, there's more here. Like, we can do more with this.
Yeah.
And that's what it was with Lance and I against the Hardys. Was we had that first pay-per-view, and I think the office was kind of just putting us in there on the pay-per-view because they knew we would have a good match. We were working those guys on the house shows and just
Yeah.
killing it. You know what I mean? Just blowing the roof off the place. And to be honest with you, it wasn't hard with those guys. I mean, as
No.
soon as their music hit, they were so
Oh,
over.
yeah.
I mean, again, you go back to being a fan, and Lance would give me an elbow because every once in a while I'd be dancing with their music, Cade's like, "Fucking cut it out, man!" Oh yeah, my bad. But they were so over. But once we got in the ring, like, there were no egos with those guys. So there were no egos with us. It was all about what worked for the match and what's.
His connection's cut out.
From a wrestler's standpoint, you crave that. You know what I mean? That comfortability, that easiness to go out there and just create and tell stories.
Yeah.
So every night we got to go out there with the Hardys. It was just off the chain. It was magic. Again, I keep bringing magic up. So we did that first pay-per-view, and I think, like, the second one, they almost felt like they had to put us on the next pay-per-view, and they gave us 10 more minutes. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That's what we were asking for. We just wanted more time. Just give us more time. And they did, and had a killer match in St. Louis in front of my family.
Well, yeah.
And then we went back for the third pay-per-view, killing it, just off the rails, just people going nuts for it. Not, we did the blow off with Cade and I turning on them eventually, and it was just a good ending and a good beginning for us to kind of take off.
Yeah.
And then Vince kind of fell out with tag team. It was just, I don't know what it was. Like, Vince got a hair up his ass again, and tag teams weren't important.
Yeah.
Cade and I were always fighting for, all those opportunities. Even with Sean and Hunter, you know what I mean? Sean and Hunter would speak up for us, but Vince was bucking them on that, thinking that we couldn't produce.
Yeah.
And we'd have to go out there with guys that weren't as good, and make them look like $1 million. And then finally Vince was like, okay, they're ready to step up to that next level. It just never, for some reason, every time we would start getting elevated and we'd start getting a push behind us and momentum behind us, Vince would want to split us up. Like,
Yeah.
that, if you look at how we split up on 2 different occasions,
That's right.
It all because we were on momentum and building things, and things were going well. And Vince's like, oh, let's split them up. Oh, well, I ain't got nothing for them, but shit, we'll fucking split them up. God damn, let's fucking do something with these 2 guys. What are we going to do with them? Fuck, I don't know.
It's crazy.
Totally, like, I can say this about WWE. I thank them for believing in me at the time and giving me an opportunity to get nationally recognized and to get out there, because as I may bitch and complain about my time at WWE because I thought it could go smoother or better, but I do give them credit in the fact that if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been known on a national level. I don't know if you and I'd be having this conversation right now, especially as often as they sent us out of the country, around the world, man. People were buying my merch and talking about us. So if it wasn't for them, none of that would have happened at all.
Yeah. And we mentioned that your final match on pay-per-view with Hardys was at Vengeance, Night of Champions. Unfortunately, kind of got overshadowed because Chris Benoit didn't turn up, and then people didn't know what happened. A few days later, the truth came out, and it was just such a sad story to hear about and such a tragedy. I mean, growing up, I loved Benoit. He was one of my guys growing up, and then hearing what happened, people said like he was like around the locker room. They said he was never erratic, but he was always intense. Was the word. Um, it must have hit you like a ton of bricks when you actually heard what happened, especially with the rest of the boys like Chavo and all of them when they heard about it. It must have just been complete and utter shock.
Well, yeah, it's you dealing originally. You're dealing with the grief of losing somebody so important to you, and so that was so integrated in the wrestling business. And for me
Yeah,
personally, he's the one that helped to get the eyes on me that I couldn't get initially for myself. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I had a connection with him in that. You're dealing with that grief, and then you find out how the true events went. It's fuck, man. It's a gut punch. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like
yeah,
I don't know any other way to explain it, but it's a gut punch. And I didn't know him nearly as well as guys like Scott Armstrong, Chavo Guerrero.
yeah,
Um, those were his riding buddies. And also I didn't know about the struggles that he was going through after with Eddie. All of that came
yeah.
out. Nobody knew that. So it's a heartbreaking situation, and you don't want to believe that person could have be
No,
capable of such horrendous events.
yeah,
Um, so you just the most you can do, man, is you pray for Nancy and his boy, and you pray for his soul.
yeah,
Someday it finds peace, man, because that's shit, man. Even just in the wrestling business, if anybody, not even just in the wrestling, if you heard that from, your regular job, somebody did it at your regular job, it would just,
yeah,
it's a gut punch. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But let alone somebody that well known. Um, and you just ask yourself, like, man, there were plenty of times like he should have, there were plenty of people that would have helped him. You know what I mean? If it just would have spoke up. You know what I mean? My wife's putting a little post behind this going, dinner's done. She doesn't understand I'm doing business.
but yeah, it was sad. But that was it. But after this, I noticed one fun matches was in you and Cade was teaming up with Umaga, who sadly has been taken away from us, and it was the three of yous against Candice Michelle and John Cena, and it was a fun match. Like Jeff Hardy interfered to drive Umaga away. It looked like at one point the three of yous was going to kill Candice Michelle. It was a fun match, but obviously Cena like done got the victory. But what was John Cena like behind the scenes? Like everyone who I've spoke to who's worked with him said, nicest he can be, like humble. But what was your experience with him?
I had a great experience with John.
Yeah,
He was, he always, he busted our balls, but in the same sense, he was always checking on us, making sure that, everything was going okay with us. We always treated like John like one of the boys. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like we didn't, he got treated very well in the world because of his stature and who he was. But we were like, you're one of the guys. You're fucking working just like we are, buddy. So we treated him like one of the boys, and I think he liked that. You know what I mean? We got along really well with John. I can remember an incident, and John may not want to be too proud of it, but I'll tell the story because it's badass. Um, we're in Mexico, and we're on a tour, and Cade and I, for one of the evenings, we finally were like, no, we're just gonna go to our rooms after the show, get some sleep. It'd been a tough tour for us for one reason or another. And John's like, hey, come down and have some drinks with us. Have some drinks with me, drink some beer. And we're like, not tonight, buddy. We're done. We're gonna go get some sleep. We'll wake up, fresh tomorrow. Tomorrow night, we're all over it. Well, Cade and I go to our separate rooms, and now what I don't know is going on is about 15 minutes later, John Cena sends one of the referees up to Lance's door, and bangs on Lance's door. Lance comes out, hey, John Cena wants you to come down and drink. He said, come get the fuck down there. Lance goes, fuck you. Don't fucking bother me. I told you guys, leave me the fuck alone. So the referee goes away. And about 10 minutes later, bang, 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 bang on Lance's door again. And Lance looks through the peephole, and sure enough, it's that referee again. So Lance goes, okay, I'm going to teach this son of a bitch. Pulls off his belt, and as soon as Lance opens up the door, he starts whipping the shit out of that referee. I told you, get away from me, leave me alone. Tell Cena off. He's not beating him, guys. Don't go on a tangent. He's just, but he's giving him a good licking, and the ref's running, laughing. So Lance goes back to bed. And sure enough, about 10 minutes later, knock, 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 knock again on Lance's door. And Lance is hot now. He's mad. He's like, all right, he grabs his belt, opens up the door. When he opens up the door, Cena comes around in a lucha mask and tackles Lance. And they're just bouncing all over the room. Just wrestling, just knocking over the TV, just having good fun, not tearing nothing up bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rest. And Cena finally gets Cade down and goes, I want you to drink with me. Cade goes, well, I'm not going anywhere without my partner. So here I am. I have no idea none of this is going on. I have no idea. So knock, knock, knock on the door. Referee at the door. Hey, Cena wants you to come down and drink. Fuck you. Leave me alone. Get out of here. I close the door. I'm in my underwear now, man. I'm in bed. Like I'm in my boxer briefs. I got the TV off. I'm ready to call it a night, About 10 minutes later, on my door, when I open it, Cena goes to tackle me. But I front face lock him, and I'm in my boxer briefs, and I spread my legs out. Now, if you guys have ever been in a hotel room, you know that the initial corridor is very small. When I front face locked him and I spread my legs out, I caught both ends of the closet, and I barreled down on him right there. Doors open. I'm in my boxer briefs, and Cena's like, Trevor, let me go. And Cena, I just want you to come drink. I want you to come drink. And Cade is standing there laughing his ass off because he knew what was going to happen. He knew I wasn't going to go down easy, and he is laughing his ass off. And I was like, you son of a bitches. So, of course, I get up and we go downstairs in the lobby and drink till 5 o'clock in the morning and go to bed for 4 hours and wake up and get on the bus and head to our next show.
That's a great story. Yeah. I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy listening to that one. But yeah, and then not long after this as well, you dropped the belts to London and Kendrick, but only for like 4 days. Then you regained it, held it again for a little bit, and then you dropped it to Hardcore Holly and Cody Rhodes at Raw 15, which, like I said, I know you just wanted to stay as a team, but Vince was adamant on splitting you up. But what have you made of Cody in the meantime, and AEW, how he's been able to start a company up? Do you think that's a good thing for the business, giving more opportunities to more of the boys?
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. No, it's awesome that he's been able to create and meet enough contacts to create a viable wrestling business that's on national TV that gives everybody an opportunity, more people an opportunity to be spotlighted. History proves it, that competition is good for everybody. And to the point where Vince even tried to facilitate his own competition against Raw and Smack. Like, that's how SmackDown and Raw came about. It was like, we'll have Raw versus SmackDown. People will love it. Well, I'm sorry, it's the same puppeteer. Everybody knows. You know what I mean? So it's good that there's opportunities for other guys to be displayed, because there's so many talented workers out there. Number one. Number two, it's already, again, I go back to history. It's proven. If you let these guys that know what they're doing go out there and do what they do and not micromanage them and not tell them what not to do, let them go out there and create magic. You've got some of the most amazing matches going on right now. And the fact that, and I think that's what's kind of going on with NXT, they're kind of letting the guys, they may be still telling them what to do a little bit, but still kind of letting them go, because they go out there and then kill it and have some great matches. Let the guys be creative. That's the awesome thing about with NWA. It's the same thing, man. It's they let you go out there, Trevor, and do what you do. And
Yeah.
I'm the only one that can get me over. You know what I mean? I'm the only one that can get the ideas over. So why not let me try things? And man, it's a sink or swim situation for a lot of guys. But with AEW, you got guys that have been killing it on the indies, that have killed it on NXT, that no one's really given them an opportunity. And AEW is like, yeah, come here, kill it for us. And they are.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be great competition, not only for WWE as a company, but it'll also be great competition for its wrestlers as well, too, because now you've got something to compare yourself to what people like and don't like.
And not long after this, they decided to split us up again, but then you got drafted to SmackDown, but before you even made an appearance, they decided to release you, and then not long afterwards they released Cade, which was shocking because I thought because Cade got put in a program with Jericho and Shawn Michaels, and in my opinion, I always thought Cade was going to be primed to be a breakout star eventually, but that wasn't to be. But what was it like when you finally got released, and after you did, like, what was your, like you've mentioned a few times, what was your interactions with Vince McMahon like on a personal level?
On a personal level, I had zero interactions with him. I mean, not what I mean. I've had a couple face to face. I've several face to face conversations with him.
Yeah.
But everything that him and I ever did it was always, and with Lance, was always at Raw. Like, we never went to Connecticut to talk to him about business. We never. It was always us trying to battle the writers and battle the agents, all that are trying to vie for his attention because we're trying to write a show. And then Lance and I are trying to pop in there to try to talk to him about our character development, what direction we wanted to go. When I finally got let go, at very first, I freaked. And what I mean by first, I'm talking like first 5-10 minutes, I freaked out. I was just like, holy shit, what am I going to do? That's the number one company in the world at the time. Where do you go? Like, there's nowhere to go but down from here. You know what I mean? And I had no idea like where my career was going to go and what I was going to do. And as soon as that idea popped in my head, I don't know where I'm going to go or what I'm going to do. I had like this calming effect. Like, it just like calmed me down. And I was like, well, hold on a minute though. Like, I've got nobody telling me where to go. I've got no booking sheet. I don't have to do fucking anything that anybody tells me. Like that, like I was like, yeah, that's all right. Now I feel good. Like, I'm scared about my future, but I felt like I had more control over it now. You know what I mean? And so that I was scared, but I was, again, I was also excited because now I've got all this, everybody knows who I am now. So I was getting booked like crazy before anybody knew who I was. Surely I ought to, start getting more booked now, which I did.
Yeah. And soon enough, TNA came along again and repackaged you as Jethro Holiday. Not the greatest name, but you work with what you give. But you started teaming up with Eric Young in the tag team tournament. So how did TNA come about, and what's like teaming with EY? I spoke to him a few months ago, and great guy to speak to. So how did what was it like for your time, like during that time?
EY's great. Eric's an awesome dude. So I'm so glad he's starting to get his due when it comes to wrestling. But originally they were trying to bring Lance and I in for this tag team tournament, and we were going to start. They were going to take us to the finals, and they didn't have an answer on what direction they were going to go at the finals, but they knew that's where we were going to be going. And Lance at the time had gotten booked for 0-1. I was going to Noah. I had my connection with Noah, and he started getting a connection with 01, and we were trying to pair the two together business-wise so we could both go over there and work together. But they had called, like TNA called like the day after 01 had called and booked him for a tour. And Lance and I were talking, and he's like, Trevor, he's like, man, I can't mess up a Japan tour. I can't miss a Japan tour for one booking that for a company. Because at the time, by then, TNA was having some issues, and they weren't, there was a lot of Dixie Carter in the back, and it just wasn't an extremely desirable place to be. And I kind of felt the same way too. Japan was definitely more secure. I had a bigger connections in Japan, so I understood it. So I called back to the office of TNA and said, Lance can't come. He's booked in Japan. And they said, well, we still want you. And I said, okay, And they said, we're going to have you wrestle with Eric Young. And I said, tremendous. And I was never on a deal. I was literally on a week-by-week phone call. You know what I mean? Right. I'd get done with the booking, and I'd get a call 2 days later whether or not I was going to be on the show that next week. And they'd fly me, to Nashville. And I thought things were going well. The one thing you notice, like after that tag team tournament, they put me in there with most of their top guys. You know what I mean? I had a singles match with Booker T, and I quit match with Booker T, which was I don't know how we came to that. Like suddenly me and Booker T are in an I quit match. I had a Clockwork orange match with Raven.
Raven.
I had a pay-per-view match with Abyss. I had some really good matches, man. And I came to they brought me in for a TV. I remember why. I remember my last booking with TNA. They brought me in for a TV, and I was going to wrestle Rhino. And Taz had just come in like 2 weeks before that and started agenting, kind of starting to get his feet wet on the agent part of things, and he was our agent. And we're talking about the match, and Taz goes, what's your finish? And I go, I do a top rope bulldog. And he goes, well, is it okay? What I'd like to do is have you hit that bulldog, go to pin Rhino, and have him kick out at one, and then him duck your clothesline, hit you with his spear, the gore, 1, 2, 3. And I didn't have a contract there. I was a week per week phone call. And the one thing that anybody who's ever seen me wrestle, I've kept virtually one of my same finishes my whole career, and that's the top rope bulldog.
Yeah.
I've protected that. And I go, hey, is it possible that I, hit like I do a beautiful high cross body, can I hit a high cross body instead of my bulldog? And Taz goes, sure, no problem. That's fine, no problem. And we go on about our day, and about 30 minutes later, I get called into Terry Taylor's office, and there's Terry Taylor, Taz, and Road Dogg Jesse James, who was an agent there at the time that was kind of helping me out a little bit. And Terry proceeds to chew my ass. What is this bullshit I hear about Taz, asking you to do a move and you not wanting to do it? And I said, specifically, I said, he asked me to hit my finish that I've established in every company I've worked in, and I don't have a deal with you guys. And I said, I offered up hitting a beautiful high cross body because I can do it really well. And he seemed okay with it till this moment right now. And I said, again, I'm just trying to protect the only thing I really have here and the only thing I've really built here. And I said, you know how it is, Terry. I'm a Harley race guy. That's business, man. Like you want to sign me to a weekly deal and pay me guaranteed money like everybody else on the card, and then you want me to bastardize my finish? That's fine. That's my job. You've hired me, but I'm not going to come in for you. And every week, if you remember correctly, I was doing the job to everybody, and I was doing the job that night to Rhino.
Yeah.
I felt that I needed to, at the very least, protect what I've built before I came in there, and Terry didn't like that, and I ended up doing the high cross body anyway. Fuck him, and I never called me back.
Fair enough. And you mentioned her earlier, Dixie. Like, I don't know what she was like. To me, I think she had the right intentions, but I think she was just probably just in way too over her head, like running an actual company.
Yes.
What was she like to deal? What was she like to deal with?
The little interaction I had with her, she was extremely nice and kind to me.
Yeah,
I have no reason to say anything bad to her, but
yeah,
again, I didn't spend enough time with her to really form an opinion, except the fact that when the few interactions we did have, she was very
mm,
kind and pleasant, and that's all I can speak of.
cool. And sadly, on August 13th, 2010, Lance Cade passed away, which, like I said, it was terrible. As I mentioned earlier, I thought this guy was going to be primed to the top. We said earlier he was jacked. He was like a Greek god, and fortunately, he
Mhm.
passed away. He was 29 years old. Like I said, with the Benoit thing, which was devastating, Eddie Guerrero, but this one must have really hit home when it happened. What was it like when you found out?
Oh, it was fuck, it was horrible, man. It was I had we had just what a lot of people don't know is Harley's wife, BJ, had
Yeah.
passed away about 4 or 5 months before that. And this
Oh, right,
was
I
a
didn't know
woman
that.
that I considered like my mom. Like there
Yeah,
was Harley, who's like my dad, who
yeah,
I spent, what a lot of people don't know is when I went to WWE, I still lived in the same town. So any of my off days, I was at my home or I was at the school with Harley. So for 15 years, him and I were together, and his wife was the same way. I loved her dearly. So about 4 months before this, BJ's passed away, and I have a bar that she actually talked me into getting, and she was going to help me run. But then the good Lord, came into play
yeah.
and took her home. So I'm laying in bed, I'm exhausted, and I wake up, and my bar manager and my wife are at the end of my bed. And I'm
Right.
like, what happened to Harley? Because my bar manager was actually a wrestler that I had trained. And
All right.
so I knew his background, and he was, taking care of business for me. And they said, no, it wasn't Harley. Um, Lance, something happened to Lance. So what happened? They said he passed away, and I was still half asleep, and I was
Yeah,
like, that's a fucked up joke. Like,
yeah.
you want me out of bed, don't say stupid stuff like that. And I looked at my cell phone to see what time it was, and there was a text from HBK, and he said, call me right now, kid. And I call him, and I said, man, I was like, what is all this? What is all this shit I hear about Lance passing away? And I'm starting to get choked up because I remember it so vividly. Uh,
Yeah.
Sean goes, I'm sorry, kid, he's gone. And I dropped to my knees. I broke down like a schoolgirl, just
Yeah.
bawling my eyes out because this is my best friend.
He was like a
I have two
brother
best
to you,
friends.
really.
Yeah, I have two best friends in this world, and Lance was one of them.
Yeah.
And my kids called him uncle. He wasn't just a business partner. He wasn't just a friend that I made money with or I was on the road with and I wrestled with. He was a brother.
Yeah.
I had been to his home and had family dinners with his wife and kids. I'd been to his family functions with his grandmothers and sisters. He had been down to our home for Harley's yearly Christmas parties. We got to do shows while we were champs for Harley under the WWE umbrella. Like WWE, Harley made the call, like, can I have Trevor and Lance for this
Yeah.
weekend? And we got to go wrestle for Harley and Eldon, and it was a great, and my kids called him Uncle Lance. You know what I mean? And that's not something I give in my home very lightly. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So when when I finally realized what had happened, uh, tried to collect myself, and I called his wife, and I called his sister and his dad, and we all collectively had a bawled our eyes out. I'd found out the funeral arrangements, and me, my wife, and my two children at the time drove 18 hours straight to San Antonio. Um, what a lot of people don't know is Sean paid for Sean HBK paid for my hotel the whole time I was down there. His wife owned an indoor amusement park with like all
Yeah.
these big bounce house activity things. Um, and Sean invited us there so my kids could go play. You know, we went to the funeral. I spoke at his funeral, which was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
I loved that man. He would step in front. You know, I talk about him like a gay lover, but and that wasn't the case at all. It's just
Yeah.
you don't get too many close friends that you can truly trust in the
Yeah.
wrestling business, in life, period, in life,
Yeah.
but let alone the wrestling business. And you know, I could call Lance and go, "Hey man, I just killed somebody and I'm scared," and he'd be like, "Where we need to hide the body." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he was, you know, he was a brother, and to be
Yeah.
taken so suddenly like that at such a young age, um, it was just, it totally caught me out of left field. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything I expected, and he's sorely missed still
Yeah.
to this day. Like my kid, my middle child, my oldest boy, Trevor Paul, is 14. He's the one, and my daughter remember him, but my 14-year-old boy really remembers him because his daddy was tag champ at the, you know, when he was younger, and he can remember it. And Uncle Lance was tag champ, and he's got pictures of him and Lance and I with the belts, you know, as a kid, and just family memories that you
Yeah.
don't create with just some random person, no random friend. You know what I mean? He was a
Yeah.
member of my family, and to
Yeah.
lose him, this world lost number one, a fucking badass wrestler. You're talking about
Oh
a guy
yeah.
who's 290 pounds, could move like a cruiserweight, and tell stories in there that a lot of people can't do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the wrestling business lost a great wrestler, but humanity lost a really good dude.
Yeah, it was very sad. I remember when like I said, I heard about it and I was like, wow, I just can't believe this because for the one thing, he was so young, 29 years. I'm 31, so I'm 2 years older than what Lance was when he passed away, and so sad. But it's one of them. But yeah, it was just so sad when I heard about it, so I just couldn't believe it. So I can imagine for you, it was so hard to deal with. But you carried on wrestling. You was on the Indies for the next 5 years, but you had a brief retirement in 2018. So, what made you decide to have a bit of a break from wrestling in 2018?
Um, I just kind of felt like at that time, anybody who's ever followed my career knows that, you know, again, I'm physically, I can handle myself in the ring. Physically, I can do anything, most anything anybody in the ring can do. But I'm not jacked. I'm not cut up.
Yeah,
I look like a guy you wouldn't mess with at a bar,
that's
or
right.
you just certainly wouldn't want to poke the bear. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And you get to a certain point in your career and you're in your age, and you start going, well, maybe it's time for me to hang it up. And I felt like I was a round peg, no pun intended, in a square world. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I felt like and the other thing too was I had when I was a young guy, I would see older wrestlers. I won't name any names, but they would come in and they couldn't put on a quarter of the show that they used to,
yeah,
and it felt like they were really hustling the people at the merch tables, and it felt like a grasp at something that wasn't there anymore, and it
yeah,
made me feel sad when I saw these guys. And I told
mhm,
myself, I was like, man, if I ever get to that point, like I'm gonna fucking just hang it up. Like I'm not gonna be a bitch about it, and just hang on longer than, you know what I mean. Let me, you know, I've done more than what most anybody's ever expected me to do. I've wrote my name in the history of pro wrestling when it comes to the tag team titles in WWE. I just maybe it's time for me to hang up my boots. And
yeah,
at the time, Harley was was on a downward spiral, and it was looking as if that it wasn't going to be too much longer, that it was time for him to go home with his wife, BJ. And it kind of felt like the end of an era. Like, you know, I had started with the school. I was one of the first students there. And now I'm in a hospital with Harley, you know, telling him my goodbyes. You know what I mean? Telling that guy how much I love him and care about him and how much, you know, he means to me. And you know, my kids called him Pappy. You know, they looked at him as a grandpa, you know, because when I was there, my boys were there. You know, my daughter was there. They were right by my side. They were respectful. They got to see it all. They got to be a part of it. And then BJ and Harley, of course, they loved little kids. So they would take off and pick them up, put them in their laps and feed them candy and spoil the shit out of them and just family shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just felt like it was time, you know? And it's crazy, right? When you're about to just say enough's enough. Harley passes away, and I'm at Harley's funeral, and I'm with all the old guys, you know, that I've trained just collectively, and NWA sends NWA shows up as a representative. Dave Lagana and the current NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis show up, and I thought, how fucking cool is that? Like, that's badass, gentlemen. Like, that's, you guys, you know, I've always loved NWA and I've always wanted to be a part of it, but I always wanted to be a part of it when it meant something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've watched hundreds of hours of tapes of Harley and Ric Flair and Dick Murdoch and Ricky Steamboat. Just NWA, like it's inbred, it's bred into my DNA.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, you guys are badass. You know, it was an emotional time as it was, and to see those guys, I was like, that's a class act, boys. And they both pulled me to the side and said, you know, what are you doing nowadays? And I said, you know, I told them what I was doing. You wrestling? Here and there, you know, I'm still wrestling to have fun, you know, but I'm not doing anything big to make, I don't want to embarrass myself, you know. They're like, why? Like, you're awesome. You should, you know, why aren't you wrestling more? And I gave Dave the same speech I just gave you guys, you know. It's just, maybe it's time for me to just call it a day, you know. And Dave and Nick both go, hey, come to Atlanta. Just come to do one show. Bring your gear. And I was like, guys, I'm not wrestling. They're like, yeah, that's fine. We'll have the agents and some matches, you know, but just come down and do one TV taping, you know. And I said, okay, you know. I said, I'm not wrestling, you know. And Dave goes, I know, just come down, Trevor. Just come down. We can use you something. So I get there, they pay for my hotel, they fly me in. I get there. First thing Dave asked me, did you bring your gear? Yeah, I brought my gear. Because you got a match tonight against Ricky Starks. I said, fuck, Dave. And all right, man. Let's go do this. And dude, it just took off, man. It just took off. The people, it was the people, man, in all honesty. If they would have shit on me that night, I'd have been like, thanks, Dave. I appreciate it, man. I had a great time. I love the set. It brings back, you know, so many memories as a kid. And, you know, thank you. But the people went nuts, man. And at the end of the match, they told me they wanted me to go and talk to Dave Marquez after the end of the match. And I asked him, I said, what do you want me to say? They go, whatever you want. Like that, you know. And it was so comforting to go, all right, great. And I didn't think of anything special. I didn't think of anything at all, actually. I just wanted to go with my gut, because that's what wrestling is supposed to be, a real emotion, feeling.
Yeah.
And Dave Marquez goes out there, and I don't know his exact words were, but something to the effect that, you know, Trevor, you know, I haven't seen you wrestle in a while. You had a tough night tonight. You lost to Ricky Starks. How do you feel? And I go, fuck, it just wasn't my night. You know, good match. Good job, kid. And I walked away. And I got in the back, and everybody was like, that's so refreshing to see.
Yes.
And I'm like, Like, it's the truth. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, that's my first match back, guys, in a long time on TV. The kid, you know, he beat me. It just wasn't my night's night. You know, there was no reason to walk out and go, "Fuck you," and "you suck," and "I could have done this." No, it was just, I didn't win tonight. Watch
no,
me the next time. And it just slowly built, man. It just, the fans willed me into existence, you know.
yeah.
And shit, man, it's a roller coaster now. I'm hanging on.
Well, we're near the end. I know you got food soon, but a
No
couple more
worries. No, I'm
questions.
enjoying myself. No, you
Oh,
ask
good.
me anything you want. And
Cool. But yeah, I mean, NWA Power when it came on, like I was hooked straight away. I'll be honest, Trevor. Like I was born in '89, and we didn't get much access to the NWA or WCW over. Well, NWA particularly, we didn't get much access over in the UK. So I was always grown up like WWF child, like tape collecting and
yeah,
such.
no, I understand.
Uh, but with the WWE Network, which I say to everyone is the greatest thing ever for a wrestling fan, you can go back and watch the old school NWA stuff and fall in love with it. And then when I heard NWA's coming back, Nick Aldis as a champion, obviously he's a fellow Englishman. He's my guy.
Yes, yes.
I've seen as it came on, like Into the Fire, I was hooked straight away and fell in love with it. But you mentioned Nick Aldis there at the end. You got into the ring wrestling with him. What's he like to wrestle with, and also what's he like as a locker room leader, I suppose, in the NWA and leading the charge for the company?
He's the perfect guy in the perfect spot. You're not going to find anybody who's going to be able to currently represent that that championship, the NWA title that has. You're talking about a championship that has so much prestige and lineage that you can't just throw it on some Joe Schmo. When
No,
you look at Nick Aldis, he looks like a world champion. He speaks
that's
like a
right.
world champion. He handles himself like a world champion. And as badly as I one day want to be the world NWA World Heavyweight Title champion, right now I can't see myself being better than Nick Aldis, and that's who needs
Yeah,
to be in that spot. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
that's right.
I'm not shining that cat up because everything that guy has, he has worked for, and he's done it the hard way. You know what I mean? He's done it. He did it a different route than me. I did it the hard way, but I also ended up going to a national company and was able to get
Yeah,
national exposure. Even though that wasn't for about 4 years, I had that opportunity. He went to TNA and was still made in a company that wasn't doing well. He made something great happen. And wherever
yeah,
Nick goes, he makes something great happen. And that's what you need. When a world champion walks into the ring, he elevates the whole stage, the ring, the moment, the wrestler, the excitement. It elevates. It goes to another level. And right now, Nick Aldis is the man, and I got to give
that's
him
right.
all the credit in the world for what he's done and what he's doing. Um, and the cool thing about wrestling Nick is I have an old school background, and Nick is smart to that. Like, he knows
Yeah,
that old school work rate. So I can go in there and I can go hold for hold with Nick a little bit, but I can also I can go to a slugfest with Nick. And when it comes to competition, like, that's the total package. Like, for a guy who could beat me, you know what I mean? I wrestle a lot of guys that are either they're bruisers and they can throw hands and they can strike really well, or I wrestle guys who are more technical. Nick's a great combination of both of those. And
yeah.
so when I got into the ring with him, he beat me fair and square. I manned up. You did a good job. You got me with your finish. I don't know if that'd happen right now, being that I'm the new NWA National Heavyweight Champion. I can't quite say that it would go the same. It may have the same outcome. I don't know. But I know for sure, bell to bell, it'd be a different match.
Well, we'll get on to that. So that primetime wrestling a couple of weeks ago, the Cinderella story, we could say, you defeating Aaron Stevens to be the national champion. How proud, and I will imagine you've dedicated this to Harley, Lance, all your friends from the past, and how proud are you of being the NWA national champion, such a legendary championship, and your name is on it now? How do you feel?
It's funny. I used to, you know, by myself make fun of guys that would get all emotional when they would get titles and stuff because,
Yeah,
we're none of us are idiots. You know what I mean? And I don't expect to treat you folks like idiots either. So I would kind of chuckle to myself, like, oh, look at that guy, fucking crying, getting all fucking emotional. What a douche. And I win the title, and this wave of just accomplishment and hard work, and this wave of just I did it. You know what I mean? Out of all of Harley's guys, I'm the only one that was an NWA National Heavyweight Champion. Out of all of Harley's guys, I'm the only one that was a WWE World Tag Team Champion. And I'm standing there and I'm like, I did it. And the only thing that can pop into my head is to thank my wife and kids. And I know it sounds so generic to do that. But my wife and kids are the ones that really have to put up with my bullshit. You know what I mean, guys? Like, this isn't an easy life. It's a semi-ego driven business, and I'm gone a lot. I miss a lot of special moments, and my wife and kids take the beating of that, and the fans don't see that and don't know that, and that's the sacrifice that they willingly take for me, and it's like they didn't ask for it. They didn't ask for their dad to be gone on birthdays. My wife didn't ask me to be gone on special anniversaries and stuff like that, but they dealt with all of that, and I felt at that moment like those are the people that I should thank, you know what I mean? Because that was the realest it could ever be for me at that moment. Like, I finally accomplished a goal. I'm a goal that I've been wanting for a long time personally. I'm part of a company that respects me. I'm a part of a company that values me. And I'm not only a part of that company, I'm now one of the leaders of that company. I'm a representative of that company. I'm the world NWA Nationals Heavyweight Champion. And I have a ton of pride in that, and I have a ton of respect, and I have this feeling of like it's my duty now to go out and set another level for guys and for this championship. I'm not only like you said earlier, I'm not only representing myself, but I've got Harley Race's name stamped on my back. I've got Lance Cade's name stamped on my back. I have a lot of people that said he's never going to be a star. He's never going to make any money. He's never going to be anything in this business. All those people that have said, "Oh, you're not jacked. You're not going to make it." They need guys with muscles that look beautiful or amazing. Well, you know what? No, I'm here to tell you right now, and not fucking everybody needs to be that way. You go in there from bell to bell. And as long as you're true to yourself and you put on a damn good match every single time you go out there, you're gonna get over, man. And
Cool.
I'm here to tell everybody, man, you work hard enough, you're gonna get where you want it to. Just don't take no for an answer.
Cool.
I'm very proud of the position I'm in right now.
It's great. I know that COVID put a stop to NWA Power, but it looks like it's in the pipeline. Power might be coming back sooner than what people think, so we can't wait for it. But I suppose that's good.
I can't give you a date, man. I can't give you a date, but it's coming. It's coming. People just got to be patient. It's like Christmas. You got to wait for that right present.
Oh, we can't wait. Like I'm talking about the lads at the NWA podcast, Rob, Will, and he's gonna kill me because I forgot his name. Rob, Will, and what's his name now? The bearded guy. I forgot his name now. He's gonna kill me when he listens to this. But
anyway, I'm gonna let you hang yourself, young man. I'm gonna let you hang yourself, man.
Gary. Sorry, Gary. he knows I love him. But yeah, we're all talking about the NWA Power coming back, so we can't wait. But that's the perfect way to sign us off. But before we go, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you on social media?
You know, guys, I'm on Instagram and Twitter at @RealTMurdoch. Obviously, just look at Trevor Murdoch on Facebook. There ain't too many people trying to be me, and if they are, I don't know why they would be. And make sure you guys just keep an eye out for Power, man. We're gonna come back with a vengeance and put on a hell of a show for everybody.
That's great, and we can't wait. And thanks very much, Trevor, for coming on. Like I said, I thought that I've only been to one WWE event you was there with Cade wrestling Crime Time, so that was back in '06. So 14 years later, like me having the opportunity to actually speak to you and go down memory lane of your time to be and current events now, you becoming national champion there. Been an absolute honor and privilege to speak to you, and hopefully we can do it again once someday.
I appreciate you having me on, man, and hopefully we can get past this COVID deal and they can lift some travel bans and I can come over and wrestle for you guys and, you know, live and in person again, man. I'm ready to get going, get back on a full schedule once we can all get past this COVID deal and everybody be safe and try to stay healthy, man.
That's great. And thank you very much. And we'll see you again soon.